confirm everything looks 100%. And that's going to be wrapping it up, then taking a look at our calibration process. Fan on. Shut the power down so we can talk. And just give this a second to reconnect here. There we go. Click T to pause this. And again, looking at this, click F6. Closed loop, making minimal adjustments. We're tracking fairly well. Looks like it's a little bit richer than the desired target. So this area right here, and this would have been there on petrol fuel, doesn't matter that we're on ethanol fuel, that it looks like it's a potential problem area here. Let's click back in. This area right here looks like we're slightly rich. Looks like right here might need to be cleaned up a little bit. So if we just interpolate here, we might have to do just a little bit of interpolation and store that update. That would have been, again, there on petrol fuel, would have solved the same thing. So I just clean that up because it looks like it, again, it's rich right there, and then the closed loop tries to go in and clean that up. Anyway, let's move on here and take a look at our knock. So we do see we have some further knock here, and that's a pretty decent amount of ignition retard. So it may not like the timing here. We're at 26.5 degrees of timing compared to 24. And again, I don't like what I'm seeing there. So I might back the timing off a little bit less. Let's click and take a look at this real quick. And we see that kind of behavior. Now, there's a potential for us to actually pick up some noise as we're looking at this. And there is an option, I want to mention this real quick. If we click on the knock threshold, if we click A, we do have a fuel composition option to say if we're at higher compositions, let's say there's a 10%, that's our petrol, and at something like 60% ethanol and higher, we do have the ability to have a different threshold with knock. So meaning we can actually raise up the threshold or lower the threshold, whatever you'd like, based on your ethanol concentration. So I could technically go in here and grab the whole table and say the shift asterisk and maybe bump this up maybe 10%, 15%. So it is a possibility if I wanted to do that. I don't necessarily want to do that, but I have the ability to do that. Usually I run the same, let's go back in here, get rid of the composition. I run the same values from pump gas to ethanol without having to change my threshold table. But you do have the ability to do that, and I don't like the way this is looking. We know it was calibrated and working on pump gas, so we know on pump gas everything looked pretty solid here. But again, there could be a possibility for I'm picking up a little bit of engine noise here for whatever reason on the knock sensor between filming the last few tutorials and this one. So anything's possible, but in the interest of not really making a whole lot of difference in power, adding the timing advance, I'm probably going to go ahead and take that away as it's a safer option. Again, we see we dropped about a degree. Let me go in here and just take that away. Let's go back into our Flex Fuel 2. So I'm going to allow it to go up to maximum of 26 degrees of timing, and that should keep it fairly safe. Let's take a look at our graph and just see what kind of power we made, just kind of get a reference here. So looking at the graph, 240, almost 9 horsepower, 190 torque. So we're splitting hairs at this point. The engine is making essentially the same power with the spark timing varied a little bit. Obviously, we gained a good chunk of power just by putting it in, having a cooling effect in the higher octane of that ethanol fuel for the very first baseline. Adding the spark advance in, we're going to be pretty conservative with this. So 2 to 4 degrees is typical range that I allow a spark timing advance on a typical from pump gas to ethanol on a typical naturally aspirated engine. And this looks like it's going to be more towards that 2 degree. So we'll only add about 2 more degrees of timing to the engine. Now, if we did get up to higher ethanol concentrations, let's say 70, 80, it may not produce the same type of effect. So we might find that it provides a little bit more knock suppression, and it doesn't show that it knocks. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get the ethanol blend very high or much higher than that. There is one more thing I want to check real quick here, and that's going to just be my fuel.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.